It's starting to get a little bit more energetic here at the TU Center as we prepare for the Saints versus the Gales. Battle of the third-place teams, both 6-4, and now radio broadcaster for the Saints, AJ Kanell, joins us. So AJ, let's get we've pretty much torn the Saints lineup apart so far today. We've had Bisping, we've had we've had Dargenio, we've had coaches on. You are you've got some knowledge about this Gales lineup. For me, I don't see A.J. English. I think this is going to be a pretty easy game for the Saints. Am I crazy?
Well, I mean, you look at where Iona was picked this year in the conference. They were picked to finish third by the coaches preseason. Right now, they're tied for third place with Siena. That's because, they lose one of the best players that we've ever really seen play at this level. But they fill it every year with the graduate transfers, the JUCO guys, the normal transfers, whatever. And they did the same exact thing this year by bringing in John Sevier, the transfer from Fordham, Sam Cassell Jr., a name we recognize, played at UConn, and additional transfers as well. I think they have 6 or 7 transfers on their roster. So, A.J. English is a big loss, but year after year after year, they fill in with those upperclassmen that are joining a new program. And it's the same thing this year.
Now I'm scared again.
It seemed like a team last year in Iona that always wanted to push the tempo and go as fast as they could and speed. Is it that same type of build with this team?
I think it is. I mean, Tim Kluse's style doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon now in 7 years coaching this team. They're, nearly 80 points a game on the season, even more than that in conference play. I think they're nearly 85 points per game in conference play. I mean, that's ridiculous for a college basketball game, for a 40-minute game. So you're going to see the same exact thing, and they shoot efficiently. You see a lot of teams like that, especially mid-major teams. They try and play fast, but it turns into kind of sloppy basketball. They're not an efficient team. They just try and run and gun, but they don't do it too effectively. These guys play fast, and they make all their shots. That's the thing. They have 5 or 6 guys that are knockdown three-point shooters in the same roster. So, the style that people are used to with Iona, this is a very similar team, even though A.J. English is not on the team.
So when I say easy game, I deserve the slam text that I just got from Patsos, that I'm completely out of my mind and I don't know what I'm talking about.
I would say so.
Okay, good. All right.
Now, in fairness, Coach Patsos is also out of his mind.
Well, but that's why I love him. Like
but everybody knows that. Yeah.
Right. He makes it work. He makes it look cool. Speaking of Patsos, so you get to cover him now, and I know we're going to get into where you used to work in a second or two because of fanboy over here. But how do you compare him to other big talent, big head coaches?
Well, I mean, everybody knows that he's got some quirks, and to put it lightly. Look, what I love about Coach Patsos is that his interests don't just they're not constricted to just the game of basketball. He's a guy you can actually have a conversation with. Now, he knows his stuff. He teaches as much as any coach you'll see. So, day by day when you're at practice, you're in shoot-around, you're wherever, even just on the team bus, he's instructing his players. So the teacher part of it's still very much there, but also he's a guy you can sit down and have a beer with and actually have a human conversation with, too. So I think as a broadcaster, somebody who gets paid to talk for a living, and I guess I would think by nature, people that are in the media, you want to have diverse interests. He's a good person to talk to for somebody that's in the media. So to me, it's a combination of he's a good basketball coach, we know that, but he's also somebody that you enjoy spending your time with.
I've asked this question to 3 different guests already, and I've been given 3 different answers, so that's why I'm going 4 for 4 with you. Let's see if you give us a 4th different answer.
Okay.
The Saints have played 6 games. They've won 5 of their last 6. They struggled at the early part of the season. What's been the biggest reason for the turnaround now?
I think it's a combination of different things. You get into that discussion about, is it the chicken or the egg? Like, does team chemistry lead to winning, or does winning lead to team chemistry? I think this is a classic situation where you look at what's happened these last 6 games. It has to be a little bit of both. Has to be the answer. I think as soon as things started to get going, these guys realized, wait a second, we got our 4 seniors, 5 including Jimmy Merrill. We have our 4 1,000-point scorers. We know how to play basketball, and the freshmen started to buy in. The underclassmen started to buy in. You had guys like Evan Fisher starting to make threes off the bench. Khalil Richard, Asante Shivers stepping up. And then when those role players start to identify what their roles are, the team chemistry works better. So I think they've shot the ball better. They've played better defense. Well, I guess you could say they've shot it wetter as well. Would actually not be an inaccurate thing to say.
Splash Brothers. That's right. The Splash
Look, they've shot the ball better. They've definitely had a better focus on defense and scouting report execution, especially on the defensive side of the basketball. And they look like they're having fun out there. I think they've pretty much done everything better that you could possibly ask for in the last 6 games. So I'm sorry I'm not giving you like a more focused answer, but honestly, at the start of the season, it was rough across the board. And the past 6 games, it's been better almost across the board.
AJ Kanell with us, one of the radio broadcasters of the Saints, the man, the voice over here. And how far do you see this team going?
Well, that's it's only my first year here, so I guess people that have been around here would be better at making predictions. I'm awful at predictions, so I don't want to get into that game. But I heard Sam Blum, who you had on earlier, talk about how much of an advantage is just playing at home. So I agree with him. I don't quite agree that they would have no chance somewhere else because they're the only team in the country with 4,000-point scorers. They have a bunch of seniors. This team has been through a bunch of battles. So despite their road struggles, I wouldn't doubt their ability to win in other venues. But I think here gives them obviously an extra advantage. You got to win 3 games in March. Right. That's the deal. And for Siena, it's about winning 3 straight games at home. They're 7-1 at home right now. So they have not played Monmouth or Iona this season. So we'll see how that goes. We've got 4 games against them. We'll see how that influences things down the stretch of the season. But the bottom line is, no matter how the rest of the season goes, you got 3 games to win, most likely in this building come March, and so you got to at least think they have a decent shot.
You touched on Sam earlier, and you guys do have a similar connection. You both attended. What? They both attended a great institution in Syracuse. Is that not true?
I don't think you book guests who don't come from Syracuse anymore.
Your interactions with the Hall of Fame coach Jim Boeheim, because I feel like, and maybe I'm the only one making this comparison, that Coach Jim Boeheim and Coach Jimmy Patsos, there's a little bit of similarity between the two. Have you seen similarities, and have you had a little brushing with the Hall of Fame coach Boeheim in the past?
Well, they're similar that they're both able and willing to call out members of media whenever. They have no qualms about that. I think they're different. Coach Patsos is more of a kind of like gregarious sort of guy. Coach Boeheim, I'm sure there's a side of him that's that way, but not one that I've seen. I think he's pretty curmudgeon-y is probably how I would describe him. I've actually seen him. I remember driving, as crystal clear, I was a student there. I remember driving to the supermarket. At that point, I had a car. I was an upperclassman. And we drove right by Coach Boeheim, and he's just sitting there in his car just picking his nose. Because he does that a lot. He's known for that. And I've also, like many other members of the student media, been called out at a press conference by Coach Boeheim. And so, Coach Boeheim is he's rough around the edges, especially towards the media. Sometimes not as much towards the national media. That's, as Sam said again, that's his personality. Now, I think it's that stubbornness that also translates on the court with Coach Boeheim. So you got the pros and cons. But I think they're similar in certain ways, different in other ways.
And then remember to tell Coach Patsos when you text them back, GOZ compared you to Jim Boeheim, just so I can kiss up to Coach Patsos.
He's listening.
Good. Remember, God said it, Coach Patsos.
I knew this once you started kissing
There's
up.
one quick story I want to get about Michael Carter-Williams in the Providence game, because I remember that, because I was in the market at that time. That was you involved in that question?
That was my question.
I'm sorry, AJ.
So that was. So what happened was, it's a foggy memory because it was a while ago. I think I was a sophomore at Syracuse at that point, and MCW was a freshman. And so that was he blew up his sophomore year. Right. That's when they went to the Final Four. So I was a junior. They went to the Final Four his sophomore year. He went off against Indiana in the Sweet 16 game. He started the season on this tear with 8 assists per game, these crazy numbers to start the season, kind of leveled out a little bit. But anyways, the Providence game, this was when he really wasn't even in the rotation yet, MCW, because they had the veteran guards above him. But it was a homecoming, the Providence game, because he went to St. Andrews. He's a New Englander, and so they put him out there in the first half for whatever reason. Played well in the first half against Providence, then didn't really get a lot of time. Maybe didn't play at all in the second half. And I think what happened was Coach Boeheim was just sort of mentioning that Dajuan Coleman also played okay, and then Michael Carter-Williams played pretty well. He's like, well, this is why they didn't play as much. And I just asked him kind of a benign follow-up, just. Do they understand why they didn't play. And then he just goes off. And I think he said something to the effect of, they understand better than you do, or something like that. But I got the cold stare down. I don't remember the exact language, but I did have that signature moment where I got as red in the face as you can imagine. All the eyes were on me. I got called out by a Hall of Fame basketball coach at a press conference.
Not everybody can say it, but you can. AJ Kanell, have a good call tonight, man. We're looking forward
to
luck.
Good to meet you guys.
Being here for the Saints Gales.